Welcome back to the Resolution Room, where we turn tension into transformation through clarity, connection, and consistency. I'm your host, Dr. Nishay Lowe, and this is a space where we explore what's really underneath the moments that challenge us and how they can lead to something more honest, more human, and more whole. So let's get into it. What does it mean to lead well when everything is moving fast, stakes are high, and the pressure to perform never stops? In this episode, I sit down with Adam O'Connor, Chief Commercial Officer at Gear Inc., to explore how leadership isn't just about growth, it's about grounding. From scaling global teams to navigating regulatory pressure and online safety, Adam shares how he's learned to center trust, clarity, and resilience in industries built on constant change. This episode unpacks what it really takes to lead through chaos without losing sight of culture or values. All right, Adam, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Adam O'Connor. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Gear Inc., a BPO and outsourcing company based in 24 different countries and covering 75 different languages currently.
Amazing. We're going to dive deeper into how you got there, of course. But
sure.
To start off, where are you based, actually?
My home is in St Albans, London, in the UK. I'm currently in Turkey with my wife. She's about a week out from giving birth. So if I have to run, then I'm really sorry. But it's a bit of a crazy time at the moment. My wife's Turkish, so she wanted to give birth in Turkey, which is fine. Normally, I travel about 9 months of the year, all around the globe to different places, and I'm home about 3 months. But I'm actually in the same place for around about 3 or 4 months in a row, which is something new to me for the last 20 years, I think. So, yeah.
That sounds like my dream, honestly, like the nonstop travel, but I know that gets hectic. Yeah.
It sounds like a dream, but after a little while, you get tired and miss your family and want to be home and things. But I've been really lucky. I've got to see a lot of the world through my job, and met some awesome people all around the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. And congratulations to you and your wife.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So you've helped companies scale in some of the most fast moving and difficult environments. So how do you stay grounded when pressure is constant?
In my role, it's always pressure. It's constant pressure, and a lot of people will understand, especially in the sales environment, you're always the next deal. You're only as good as your last deal and the deal that's coming in. So you have to cut things into segments. If you look at the big goal always, it's very difficult to achieve and to get there. I mean, if you've got multi-million pound targets and things, it's very difficult to take that into context. So you break it into smaller segments. You work with the team. You break down what they're going to do. And I'm a very big believer in servant leadership and making sure that people are given outcomes rather than tasks on how to do that, and then making people become the best people and the best versions of themselves that they can, and being there to support them in that journey. So whilst the pressure is really intense and hard, it's also really fulfilling when somebody who had never really closed a big deal comes in with a 10-figure deal and says, look what I've just closed because of the stuff that you've done. And that works both ways as well. So yeah.
So let's just start off with a little more of your personal journey. So tell me about how you got to this point, exactly what it is that you do, and kind of give some more context there.
Okay, so I'm a bit of an outlier in terms of my story. So I started off on the front desk of a hotel in London, enjoying life, getting paycheck, just doing what young people do. I'd been there quite a while, and I decided, right, I better actually start deciding what I'm going to do with my life, go back to school and find a direction. So I went back to university and started studying a business management degree. Things come quite easily to me in terms of academic, and it was the first time in my life, I think, that I'd really struggled with something on the economics side. Now, I can explain to you economics pretty well, but when it came to sitting down in an exam or trying to pass the paper, it just went crazy. I was on the desk of the hotel, and I was just doing some casual reading and trying to catch up with things. And somebody who was staying there, who I'd been talking to, came over to me, asked me what I was doing. I explained the whole situation. and she was a doctor of economics, bizarrely. And she said to me, look, I can help you pass this paper. And in return, I've just started a company. We're an outsourcing company based in the Philippines. We've only got about 30 staff right now. But if you can come and work with me and I'll teach you how to sell, I'll teach you how to do these things, then I'll pay you commission and we'll see where it goes from there. Long story short, I started with them. I closed a really big deal within 2 months. She asked me to leave the hotel, travel to the Philippines for 3 months. I ended up staying there for 12 years.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, it was a long journey. I started off as a UK account manager, then a global account manager, then started bringing in the sales team under me, then took over the chief revenue officer role, moved over to the chief operating officer for a short time, but the operations have to pay what you write in sales, if that's the nicest way to put it. So I was fixing some of the things that we had done on the sales side, and then moved back to the sales side because that's where my real passion is, and growing relationships with customers and making sure. And then I moved to Gear about 18 months ago and started building everything again that I had done previously. And that's basically where I am today. So,
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. And what was the name, like what you're currently building right now? Tell us a little more about that.
so Gear Inc. is the BPO, call center outsourcing company. We're in 24 different locations around the globe in terms of countries, and we cover over 75 different languages, a lot of the Asian languages, the US, South America, Europe as well. We look after lots and lots of different companies, whether it be some of the big social media companies doing their online content, making sure that online spaces are safe, trust and safety side. We look after customer service, and we're just bringing in the AI side of things as well. I'm a big
Mhm.
believer in AI, and I've been learning myself to build different functions within AI and bring that in. So, yeah,
Yeah, once you master it, it's amazing. It's pretty amazing.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, getting back to the urgency side of what you do. So,
Yeah.
when everything is urgent, and you started to touch on this a little bit earlier, how do you prioritize what actually matters for people, not just profit?
Okay. So there's two sides of things. So one is fires and working out how you prioritize which fires to put out and which can burn a little bit as you're growing and what you're doing. And the other side is people. I'm a lot of times management and big corporates and big companies forget the human aspect of what they're doing. So you have to make sure that everybody is grounded, everybody's working together. I try to foster a real collaborative kind of workplace for everybody where a rising tide makes all ships float. So everybody wins, everybody loses, everybody wins. You make sure that everybody gets rewarded and everybody feels it. When and winning is really addictive. So when somebody wins, it helps everybody else, and you work with them. You break down the pressure by taking time out, making sure that people's mental health is okay, make sure that you're not pushing, make sure that you have the time for family. All of these things that are really, really important to make sure that you can deal with the pressure because we're in a high pressure situation all the time within our jobs. So
Mm-hmm. And I can imagine, I mean, it's difficult to manage like high pressure situations in one context, but when you take it to a global context, when you're constantly
yeah.
dealing with multiple cultures and languages,
Mm.
how do you balance your approach across
So
cultural contexts?
I learn every day from my staff. It's a two-way street. So it's not I don't profess to know everything. I wish I did. I'd be a very, very rich man, but I'm still learning all the time from the staff who know the culture better than me. So to give you an example, in some of the Asian countries, you're required is probably a hard word, but you're expected to go out with everybody on a Friday night, no matter what, and that's kind of thing. Whereas in the West, we kind of, yeah, you can go out for a drink if you're feeling it, but you might want to go home for your family and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of different cultural aspects. When you go to a sales meeting in certain Asian countries, if you've got an hour sales meeting, 50 minutes of that time will be talking about something completely irrelevant to what you're trying to sell. The last 10 minutes you actually get to the deal, which is again completely different. But even in the USA, as a country, there's probably 8 or 9 different regions with different kind of expectations in how you do business and what you do. And you learn and you pick up these things and understand that different things work in different places. But the one thing that I myself and the team always try and remember is we're with solution selling. We're not pushing a sale onto people. We're understanding what they want. We're making sure that whatever we produce for them is what they want and it's going to work for them. It's not a hard sell in the sense of you should buy this product. It's how can I help you? How can I maintain this relationship? That's how we're going to all win out of this. So
Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot of adaptability and probably flexibility with
absolutely.
managing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you have to as well. And you also have to understand that everybody's human. As I keep saying, people, you never know what people have going on that they don't share with you. And you have to try and understand that and work with them and make sure that everybody's looked after. So
absolutely. And so you're working in, content moderation and trust and safety. So two areas where backlash is common and again, public pressure is high. So I guess how do you help teams stay mission aligned without burning out?
So we and a lot of companies that are in the space have similar things of well-being, but we have a 24/7 psychological department who look after all of the staff if they need anything. We have wellness situations where they can only do certain amounts and they're checked in and they're evaluated to make sure they're okay. If anybody is exposed to anything that makes them feel uncomfortable, we have the measures and the escalation points to make sure that they're looked after correctly. And again, making sure that the staff are looked after correctly is so important because they're the people who have to deal with everything. And they're also your company. So if they're not looked after correctly and they're not in the right frame of mind, it's not going to work well for anybody who you're working with. So looking after staff is number one.
Absolutely. And so, I work in conflict resolution in my consulting firm, and so I'm curious, how do internal conflicts or silos show up in industries like yours, and what helps resolve them?
Um, I guess obviously you get conflicts in everywhere, but we try and look after everybody in the sense of because we're in so many different cultures and so many different centers, we again have the outcomes in mind rather than the hows. The local management and the local people have to run the business in a local way and understand the outcomes is what is defined. That tends to minimize a lot of the conflicts that happen. Obviously, like any workplace, you're going to have individual conflicts between people, but that's something that you solve as you would anywhere. But you have to allow
Mm-hmm.
the local management to manage in the way that culturally fits the people that are working there.
Absolutely. And so, what's the difference to you then between looking compliant and being culturally aligned with integrity?
Well, you have to be compliant 100% anyway. So if you build your business with compliance in mind from the start, it doesn't matter where you put that. But with cultural integrity, if I step out a little bit from the compliance bit and the cultural integrity, in some cultures, in some work environments, I would have a group session where we would say this is wrong, that's wrong, and things. In other cultures, that's seen as being really confrontational or it doesn't align well. So with those cultures, you'll have the one-on-one meetings. You'll do it in a completely different way to make sure that it happens. So it's about adaptability. You're still getting the same message. You're still getting the same output, but you're doing it in a different way to make sure that it's culturally fitting and the people understand what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So I am a fellow travel enthusiast. I absolutely love traveling. It is not a phase in my life. I absolutely love it. So I want to focus again more on that global aspect of
Sure.
what you do. So again, you lead global teams across borders and cultures. So what are some key lessons you learned about building trust across differences?
Never ask anybody to do something that you wouldn't be comfortable doing yourself. Number one, make sure that you're open and honest always. That doesn't mean that I am going to be an easy touch or roll over for people, but I'm going to give honest feedback and they can give honest feedback to me as well. And they're not going to get in trouble for that. So if somebody, no matter what culture, and some cultures like England or the US are a lot better at coming and telling you, hey, I think this is wrong. We should do it this way than some of the other cultures that I deal with. But again, you find ways to manage it and work with people that fit their culture to get the same outcome all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's really how we do it.
Yeah. And I guess what roles do empathy and cultural competency play in leadership for you, especially in, again, high stress or multinational environments?
Empathy is the number one on my list. My team is an extension of me, and they are family. If you think about how much time you spend with the team and how much trust you have to have in them, they become like family members. And if one of your family members is sick or going through something, you want to understand why they're doing that. You want to understand the pressure and what toll that's having on people. You want to put in place guardrails to make sure that nobody is getting too stressed. And if they are, you want to be able to step in and help them and say, hey, listen, maybe we do it this way. Bring this to me. I can help you with this. And we create that team environment, as I touched upon before, to be able to do that. And it's not just me that's stepping in and helping, it's also the teammates, it's understanding. But by the same token, it's not just the team and the internal, it's also your customers. So sometimes you can put in work for 6 months on a deal, and at the end of it, the customer turns around and says no. And your natural reaction is to get upset, angry, all of those things. You've put in all of this work, but sometimes you've got to take a step back and think about it and try and understand it from their point of view, why they've done this. And I think that keeps us all grounded as well. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment and not really try to understand the other person's
the why,
perspective and you
correct.
know.
Yeah.
I think the assumption is everyone's just trying to piss you off all the time, and it's not really that.
That's not how it is. And you don't know what they're going through as well. And you don't know how they're feeling about it. You know, sometimes there's a champion who you're selling to and you've done, and then something's happened above them and or something within their business that you're not privy to has happened, and it's just put a whole thing on it. And sometimes you just got to take a step back and say, hey, listen, it's all good. When you are ready to go, give me a call. And that tends to go a long way with customers as well. So
Mm-hmm. So one thing I find interesting when I'm working with certain clients is, it seems like a lot of people are in leadership roles, but it's kind of just sort of moving up the ladder
yeah,
naturally because of time and not necessarily receiving the proper leadership skills that are required in that position. Do you find that you received leadership skills and training that you needed to do this current position you're in, or is it something you had to develop along the way on your own?
I kind of developed along the way. I'm an avid reader. I as I said, I travel a lot, so lots of flights, lots of time to read books and understand things. But I learned along the way. I've had some very good managers myself who've taught me a lot of things. Not always what to do, but sometimes not what to do as well. But it's been a journey and learning, and obviously there's only so much that textbooks and books can teach you. You learn from experience as well. So although I didn't have formal training in terms of, okay, in this situation you do this, being in situations and understanding and trying to have that empathy with people and why they've done it. The why is always more important than the how, because from
Mm-hmm.
there you can fix it and understand and then from there get to the point that you need to be.
Absolutely. Um, and so reflecting on, your career from when you first started to now, what does success mean to you now compared to earlier in your career?
I think earlier in my career, before I kind of moved into the higher roles that I'm in now, money was the biggest driver. How much money could you get to set up your life, what you could do? And I'm sure that's the same for most people. You might
Right.
want that new car, you might want that new house, whatever it is. As I've got older, wiser maybe, some people would say, but as I've got more experience, I think seeing other people reach the goals that they can get working with me. So I've had people who've never sold anything come to work for me who are now CEOs of their own companies and things like this.
Mm,
And making sure that everybody gets to reach their goals, making sure everybody has the platform to succeed, making sure that everybody is the best version of themselves, whether not everybody wants to be a CEO or run their own company, but enabling people to get as far as they can, no matter who they are, no matter what they want, is something that feels successful for me. So,
that's awesome.
thank
And can you think of a time when something looked successful on paper, but maybe felt misaligned behind the scenes? And how did you respond to that?
um, there's there's been times where if somebody was looking from the outside, it looks successful, but on the inside, you're not really as successful as it looks from the outside. So, for example, if you close the deal with a large company, um, on paper it looks great. Everybody loves that. It looks fantastic. You've got the logo of the person, but in reality, the work that you're doing could be a lot better. You could be achieving more if you could get into more, and it takes time. And I'm quite lucky in the sense that the team has always found a way to get to where we need to be with people and turn things successfully. But not every customer is right for you, and you're not right for every customer. And that's one thing I learned quite early in my career. So I guess early in the career, you just want to get everybody that you can. You want to get that money. You want to get that result. And as you get a little bit more experienced, you understand that sometimes you've just got to say, look, hey, maybe you'd be better going with someone else because this isn't going to work as well as we both wanted to. So,
Yeah, that's such an interesting point because I think I'm learning the same lessons. Is
yeah,
again, you almost feel like why would I turn down
yeah,
a paying customer? But at the
yeah.
same time, you're part of entrepreneurship is being in a position where you can pick and choose who you work with, and sometimes it's not always a good fit, even if the person has the money for your services.
And it doesn't have to be entrepreneurship either. It can be just working in a business, working in sales. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the fit isn't right, whether that be culturally, whether it be what they're trying to achieve, whether they're looking for a Mona Lisa with crayon budget, whether it can be all different things. But sometimes culture just doesn't fit, no matter where you are in the world, and that's from a buyer and a seller. That's not anything to do with where you are in the world. It's just to do with what people expect and what they want to do. And sometimes you've got to just take a step back and say and be honest and say, we could get this in, but let's be realistic. How long is this business going to last, and what's it going to do to our brand? So,
Mm-hmm. And reflecting again on your personal and professional journey, what is one thing that you had to unlearn to reach your current definition of success?
being a control freak. in the in the
Mm.
in the early days, I wanted to control everything. I thought I knew everything best. I thought, okay, we do this, um, and luckily, wasn't that long into my career as I'd started moving up the ladder. I had a guy who came to work for me, and he'd again never sold anything before, and asked me how to say it. I said, right, okay, you jump on this call with me. You just listen to what I do, and then you go along and do the same thing. Essentially, those were my instructions. Jumped on the call with my London accent. He was from New Jersey. Um, Call went pretty well and everything. And then I think it was a couple of hours later, I said, right, your turn, go. He got on the call. He started saying the same things that I would in my London accent, doing a really bad English accent while he was trying to say it.
Oh,
Not, and I was like, okay, now I need to really understand how to explain myself properly to people. When I say do what I do on the call, I mean use the techniques, use the
yeah,
probing questions. Don't sound like Dick Van Dyke out of Mary Poppins.
yeah,
It's yeah.
right.
So yeah,
That's funny.
being
And for reference, your instructions that you just said, I would have thought that's what you were saying. Honestly, I
exact,
wouldn't think to
most people
mimic you.
most people would, but you have to be clear. I mean, when you go across different cultures again, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cultures people say yes all the time as well, because they think that's going to please you, and that's not going to give you any anywhere to go. Just saying
Mm-hmm.
yes. So you have to ask. don't ask a yes no question. Ask questions where somebody actually has to answer you. That's one of the things that I learned and learn early and unlearn again to get to where I am. So
And just building on your point too of the control freak, I can definitely relate. And I feel like the perfectionism, right? I just feel
yeah,
like
exactly.
it's so hard. Like there's never going to be a perfect time to do anything. And if you hold on to that, you will just paralyze yourself and not do anything. So
And it's
that has been, anyone who knows me personally knows that. Like, I think everyone just sees you on the outside and just thinks, oh my God, you're just doing these things fearlessly and blah, blah, blah. And I'm
yeah.
like, you have no idea what's going on in my head. Like, I'm exploding every 10 minutes.
And it's probably the scariest thing I've done in my career was when you let
Yes.
go and you start trusting other people, and that's not because of the
Yeah.
people that you're trusting. It's just that inner voice saying, "Oh, I could do this," and there's
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, people. It might take somebody twice as long to do what you were doing. They
Mm-hmm.
might not do it exactly the same way, but with time, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about it's the outcome that matters. It's not how they do it, and people learn, and that's across
Mm-hmm.
cultures and everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very scary, and you've just got to do it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like to conclude every conversation with my signature resolution question. So, for you, after leading teams through chaos, cultural differences, and public scrutiny, what does it mean to you to be resolved and not just as a leader, but as a person?
being able to sleep at night and wake up in the morning and not worry. I know that might be cliche, it might sound funny, but it's to be resolved. I've climbed the corporate ladder. I've had jobs. I've dealt with some of the biggest companies in the world. I've dealt with the stress. I've been away from my family for 12 years, missed birthdays, missed all of this stuff. I've had some nice things. I've lost some nice things. It's life. But being able to come home to a family, feel fulfilled, and put my hand on my heart and say, I've done everything I can for my team to be able to get to where they want, that makes me feel like I'm resolved. So
I love that. And lastly, can you tell everyone where to follow you in your work?
sure. You can reach the company at www.gearinc.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to have a chat if anybody needs any help. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you on today.
thank you.
Leadership isn't just about solving problems. It's about setting a tone that invites trust, even when the path forward feels uncertain. Adam reminds us that whether we're leading through digital transformations, moderating online platforms, or navigating global markets, the real work of leadership is deeply relational. It's not the quick fixes or the metrics that endure, it's the trust you build, the clarity you bring, and the steady presence you offer in the moments of pressure. Resilience isn't born in the absence of conflict. It's built one grounded decision at a time and one honest conversation at a time. That's what carries people forward, and that's what turns chaos into clarity. As always, thank you for joining me in the resolution room. If this conversation moved you, challenged you, or gave you something to carry forward, consider supporting the show. You can explore our wearable wisdom collection in our Mind Shop, where each piece is designed to spark reflection and dialogue. You can also join our growing community for behind the scenes conversations, resources, and support of your own journey through tension and transformation. And if you just want to say thank you in a simple way, you can always buy me a coffee. Every gesture helps keep this space going. All the links are in the show notes. And until next time, keep building in the quiet because that's what will carry you forward.